Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Flores, and I'll be your host today, along with James. James, right there in the screen.
Hi guys, hi and welcome.
Yeah. So today we are going to cover the AMP for WordPress plugin, and actually kind of go give a quick overview of the state of the web, as well as kind of the WordPress environment. So let me share my screen. We can kind of get started here. Okay. So yeah, like I said, we're going to be covering faster websites for everybody and for WordPress. And today's agenda, we will first start with the state of web speed. Then we'll move on to what is AMP, as we all know now. Then we'll go to number 3, which James is going to lead, is the AMP for WordPress plugin walkthrough. And then we'll end with some resources and a Q&A. Okay, so here we're going to start off. When we first surveyed mobile web users, the majority of users quoted that waiting for slow pages to load is the #1 thing that they dislike the most when browsing the web. As you can see here, it's nearly 50%. So this kind of proves that building a fast and well-performing site is the #1 feature that website owners and product managers should be focused on, and not any other additional product enhancements. So here in the mobile-first world, speed is more important than ever. Reaching and engaging from users effectively is necessary for fast websites. As you can see, about half of the users will leave a site after 3 seconds of load time. And as well as for kind of rewarding fast performing sites, you will typically see around 2 times more mobile ad revenue for sites that load within 5 seconds versus 19 seconds. And about 75% of mobile sites still take about 10+ seconds to load, which is actually kind of surprising. I know a lot of us think we have really fast sites, but the majority of users still are on 3G connections, so it's important for us to check that to make sure that our sites are loaded quickly. So here we're going to go a little bit into the current state of web performance. So let's look at the ecosystem's average for performance. So on the left, you see that represents the first contentful pane. The time taken for the user to see the first visible content, being the content title, paragraphs, images. This is the first thing that's going to load on the site. And on the right, it represents the onload page speed. This is the time taken for the whole page to load. So the majority of websites are not loading fast enough to meet the user's needs. As we said, we need to try to get below the 5-second mark. And comparing WordPress sites versus other websites, there are a higher percentage of sites that are slow / suboptimal than the rest of the ecosystem. So this can be for a variety of reasons, but typically it has to do with your plugins and themes that are cluttering the site and the speed. So now we'll go into what is the actual AMP project and kind of why it started. So it actually started to help publishers and websites create fast website experiences that are straightforward to create and manage. AMP is an open source initiative that is aimed to build a better web ecosystem, enabling web publishers to build a website that is fast, beautiful, and monetized as well. So what AMP provides for publishers and websites? So by publishing in the AMP format, your pages will load fast and be a smooth user experiences, all while retaining your ability to style the page and retain your brand look and feel. So additionally, AMP does provide distribution across multiple consumer platforms, including Bing, Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, and Pinterest. So these platforms link to AMP pages that provide greater opportunities for distribution. So basically, if a user is going to your site through one of these sources and you have an AMP page, you will have all the benefits of like around 1 second load speeds with AMP. So AMP pages do support design customization and flexibility. So your page doesn't have to look exactly the same as everyone else's, but AMP, it can incorporate your brand look and feel, and as well as any functional elements that you may have on your site. So today, about tens of millions of domains on the web have adopted AMP, producing about 1 billion AMP pages, surprisingly. So according to a recent Forrester study commissioned by Google, users spend around 2 times more time on an AMP page than on a non-AMP page. And then sites that are also e-commerce focused saw around a 20% increase in sales on their AMP pages versus non-AMP. Another small detail here is sites also saw around a 10% year-over-year increase in traffic on their AMP pages. So for the full results of the study, you can search the total economic impact of AMP on Google, and you'll find the complete study there for your own resources there. And then a lot of web publishers are seeing success with AMP, and here are some well-known names in the industry who have tried AMP and have seen an uplift in the respective key performance indicators. An example here is Gizmodo and Mail.ru are able to procure new traffic post-AMP implementation. Terra and Time were actually able to improve time spent by users on their site. The Washington Post was able to improve their user retention by around 23%, and that's higher than their 7-day returning users. And then lastly, Teads sees better monetization with around 200% increase in average click-through rates and AMP pages. So here, I just want to go through one last case study to share a success story from one of our lifestyle publishers who built their site with WordPress. So within less than 2 days, the CEO actually managed to implement AMP with the WordPress plugin, and they have seen around a 64% increase faster page loading time, around a 47% increase in ad click-through rate, and around a 25% increase in ad RPMs. I'm sure these are all numbers that we all want on our site. So let's take this as an example, and hopefully we can replicate it on your site. Now I'll pass it off to James here, who's going to walk through the AMP for WordPress plugin.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So we're going to give you a quick introduction of the official AMP WordPress plugin and show you exactly how it operates. So at Google, we're passionate about fast websites that are accessible to everyone. We've collaborated with reputable industry-leading names in the WordPress ecosystem to build the official AMP plugin. If you'd like to see some websites that are using the official AMP plugin, you can head over to amp-wp.org/showcases. From there, you'll see how possible it is to make a website that looks great, loads fast, and doesn't compromise. No compromises. Also, if you're using the official plugin yourself in paired or native mode and wish to get featured, there's a form on the same website where you can submit your site for consideration. So the AMP plugin itself is not a turnkey solution. Instead, it's built with the aim to provide support for publishers and developers alike. So publishers and website owners can amplify their website with ease. Web developers can use the plugin as a tool to build AMP-compatible themes and plugins. We're also continuously working with the WordPress ecosystem to grow the number of plugins and themes available to be compatible and work seamlessly with the official. So here you'll see a diagram of the official AMP plugin and its evolution. The plugin version 1.0 operates in 3 different modes. Prior to this, at version 0.5, we started with the legacy mode, which is also known as classic. While set up, this mode delivers a basic look and feel, which is a bit different to your existing WordPress theme, just to ensure AMP compatibility. Because of this, it can lead to a presence with visual gaps. Since version 0.6, we introduced paired mode. This mode allows for visual parity between your AMP and non-AMP websites. So in the latest version, version 1.0, you can have your whole website 100% AMP if you wish, using the new native mode. And I know from working with publishers day to day, I personally see a great impact in user engagement and monetization in AMP. Many publishers even start off using AMP on a small section of their website, and once they see the uplift, they end up just increasing AMP coverage. So I'm just going to show you next how you can install the official AMP plugin. And this is based on classic mode. So basically, it just takes as little as 2 minutes to install the official AMP plugin and get your website live with AMP. You don't need, using classic mode also, you don't even need to change anything on your existing non-AMP website. So it makes it super easy. You see the steps here from a WordPress dashboard. You just click on plugins, you click on add new, you search for AMP, and you, as soon as you see the official plugin, you'll see some of the contributors there, the name AMP. It's just a case of installing it, activating it, and straight away you'll have an AMP version of your website running alongside your non-AMP website in classic mode. Classic mode will also convert your YouTube videos, native galleries, and much more content into AMP content, while stripping out non-AMP valid content. Also, to view your AMP version of your website, you can use a Chrome extension called AMP Validator, or you can also use the validator at the website ampproject.org. So next you'll see how to upgrade to paired or native mode using the latest version of the AMP plugin. Paired mode delivers the best performance, offering an AMP version of your website that matches the appearance of your non-AMP mobile website. Because it matches your existing theme, it also offers the best and most consistent interface and user experience for your visitors. Paired mode enables an AMP version running alongside your AMP website. So you still have your non-AMP website and your AMP site running in parallel. To activate paired mode, it's as simple as clicking on the AMP icon in the WordPress dashboard, clicking on General, and selecting Paired. So we'll just move on to the next slide here. So using the official version of the plugin, there's also a validation section. So you can see exactly, using the plugin, which sections of your website or which pages are AMP valid and not AMP valid. So native and paired mode allows you to troubleshoot any validations, and the plugin is here to support you doing that. Some themes and plugins might have some functionality that's not AMP valid. This will be highlighted using the validator. The goal of this validator is to minimize your effort in troubleshooting and help you to build an AMP-compatible website. There's also a list of AMP-compatible components which can be used in place of custom JavaScript, and there is an ever-increasing ecosystem of AMP-compatible plugins. So in the section here, I'm just going to talk you through how to accept an error in using the AMP validator. So within the plugin, it provides users with more granular options on a per URL basis, allowing you to decide what action to take. For all errors highlighted on your URL, you'll see the error type, the status, the location, and other information. If you choose to accept any of the errors using the AMP plugin, the plugin automatically removes this code or functionality in any of these URLs, just to make the page AMP valid. An example here is if there's an animation effect or a navigation menu that uses custom JavaScript, the plugin highlights this so a user can accept the plugin's non-use of this, or it can reject, which will result in that page not being AMP valid. So we'll just move on to the next slide here. So on the opposite side of accepting an AMP error, you can also reject an AMP error. So some websites feature critical components that are not AMP compatible. So loss of this functionality or components is not an option for some website owners. In this case, using the plugin, a user can choose to reject any validation error. Any URLs that are affected by the rejected error will no longer have an AMP version, and users will automatically be redirected to their non-AMP version of the page. So using native mode also means errors are automatically accepted to ensure a 100% AMP experience without the user having to accept or reject. Using paired mode, users have the option to automatically accept or automatically reject any errors. So using the official AMP plugin, you will also get an error notification tab. When editing a post or page which contains an AMP validation error, the plugin will highlight by a notification with a link to the plugin validation section. This is from within a page or post. So we'll just move on to the next slide now. So validation URLs. Similarly, when you're logged into the front end of your website and it contains an AMP validation errors, it also highlights total errors for which you can take action. This is very useful from your front end of the website because you can click on this and you can choose to take action based on what the plugin highlights. So the error index is also a feature of the latest version of the AMP plugin. It allows you to review error types and amend decisions. Similar to the validated URLs tab, this section highlights a list of all errors, not just errors related to the URL. For each error, you have a detailed view. It shows the invalid attribute, the current status, type, and when this error was last seen by the plugin. You can also accept or reject any errors from this screen or click on the details option for more information. Using the plugin, you can also bulk accept or reject using the toolbar at the top of this dashboard. You can change your choice at any time, whether it's reject or accept. You can also select errors and press the Clear Empty button to remove any errors that no longer appear on your site. An example might be where you might have a plugin activated previously, which you've since deactivated. So now we're going to talk about analytics. The official plugin also makes it easy to add analytics to your AMP pages. Using this analytics feature, AMP supports over 50 different analytics vendors and counting. You can see the full list at the ampproject.org website. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration as well how to get started. So if we move on to the next slide. So this is what you see here is an is a Google Analytics dashboard. You can access this directly from the AMP plugin. There's a link to this page. And what I've highlighted here is the section you simply copy. So this section you copy and you'll have to replace the tracking ID with your own tracking ID. So once you've copied that, going back to your official AMP plugin, there's a section here where you simply paste the analytics code in there. And at the top, you can also fill in the type. So it's good to label the type as Google Analytics if you're using Google Analytics for future reference. So that's how you add analytics. So some useful resources I'm going to mention. One is the official AMP project website. So it's ampproject.org. And the next is the all-in-one hub for AMP official plugin. So it's the amp-wp.org. Likewise, if you're looking for assistance in both of these websites, have dedicated sections where you can go to for support. I'm just going to pass you over to Kevin here. Continue.
Yeah, thanks, James. So real quick here, this slide really just goes over one of the founding principles of Google, and it's really just focusing on the user. AMP's focus on the user is working for users, publishers, and advertisers alike. Now we have a couple of additional items I want to go over here. First is an AMP's analytic dashboard. So our team actually created this customized dashboard made for comparing AMP versus non-AMP performance, which I will send out the link in a follow-up email so you can each have it and access your own analytics data on this dashboard. Provides a clean and easy way to view data, and I can show you here. This is kind of what you'll be seeing, and it is a really easy way to see kind of your bounce rate, average page load time, as well as pages per sessions and average session duration. And it kind of continues down with more detailed information and breakdown below. So it also separates between your basic performance audit and then as well as an AMP performance audit. So you can toggle between the two. Once you do have an AMP page set up, you'll be able to see the performance of your AMP and compare that to your non-AMP pages. And then the next resource I want to go over is we actually have limited availability, but you can request an AMP for WordPress plugin consultation. So we will send out the form after this webinar where you'll be able to apply. So please apply before the 28th of February as spaces are pretty limited. And we can kind of go from there. Now we'll just go over the Q&A, and James can take it from here.
Yeah, so we've got a few Q&As ahead of this webinar, so I'm just going to go through them here. So one user asked, I'm a WordPress user with no knowledge of coding. Do I have to essentially rebuild my pages in an AMP format? Is there an easy way or plugin simply to turn on AMP? So the answer to that question is the official AMP plugin makes AMP easy. You do not need to rebuild your pages in AMP format. The plugin automatically creates AMP valid versions of your pages, posts, and other content. You can also disable AMP for individual pages, posts, or categories if you wish. On the other side, you can also switch off AMP simply by deactivating the plugin. So another user asked, I've experimented with the current AMP for WordPress plugin with mixed results. How might we ensure that casual, non-programming users will be able to implement it properly without any code knowledge? The answer to that question is there's a website dedicated to the official AMP WordPress plugin, which offers various guides and support for users and developers alike. For implementing ads, the official plugin is supported by all top ads plugins with extensive supporting documentation. So another user asked, my website consistently earns more than 10K in AdSense revenue each month. I tried AMP last July and noticed a significant decrease in revenue. I've since discontinued AMP. Have any improvements been made to the AMP AdSense experience since July? Is AMP a viable option for ad-driven websites? So the answer to that question is, I'm first of all going to assume it's a WordPress website, but the answer would be that the new version of the plugin was only released in December past. So the new version of the plugin offers vast improvements on previous versions, including different modes and serving AMP in particular categories. AMP pages also load faster than non-AMP websites, in turn offering faster serving ads. It's important to configure ads correctly on your AMP website to ensure ad consistency with your non-AMP page. So while this user might have some negative experience with AMP previously, it potentially could be down to ads not being implemented correctly. It could be down to different plugins being used, or simply AMP not being served on some pages and while being served on other pages. So the new version of the plugin addresses all of these, and we certainly hope you would look at the new version of the plugin and try it out yourself. If it's not working for you now, you can always discontinue it anytime. So I'll just pass you over to Kevin now.
Thanks. So just one thing to add on this question here is I work with a variety of publishers who have experienced this. And one of the most common issues we run across is actually the number of ads they have on their AMP pages. Typically, a lot of publishers are still trying to figure out the right placements for ads, and they actually limit the number of ads they have on their AMP pages. So say they'll have like 5 ads on their non-AMP pages, while they only put 2 on their AMP pages. That's a pretty surefire way to decrease your overall earnings, and that's the most common issue that I run across with my publishers. And yeah, that is actually all we had for today. So we appreciate you tuning in and kind of learn a little about the AMP for WordPress plugin. Like I mentioned, we will be sending a follow-up email with the additional resources that we promised, as well as a feedback survey. So if you have any feedback that you would like to provide us, please share that, and we'd love to hear from you all soon. So thanks again.